to do those.
Hello, welcome back to
All right.
another Star Stutter episode of the Chatterbox with yours truly, King Jacob. And, we will be tapping in today, on a remarkable story with none other than Miss Yana Bean. And I just want to wish everybody a happy holiday for those that celebrate it. And I hope that you been safe because there's been some things going on in breaking news, as well as, the young man who got shot over 60 to 90 times in Akron, Ohio. My heart goes out to his family and his friends, and also the six people that got killed at the 4th of July parade in Chicago, Illinois. So my heart go out to their family as well. And so, let's just keep our country in prayer and let's just lift one another up because these are strenuous times and treacherous times that we're living in. And so we need to show each other gratitude, honor, and respect. And so with that being said, we're gonna get into this chatterbox. Hello, how are you?
I'm doing good, and you?
Doing well, doing well. So
Good.
um it gives me a great honor, great pleasure to have you on my podcast. I really thank you for accepting the invite. And for the audience who don't know, who is Miss Yana Bean?
Well, Miss Yana Bean is just, a regular person. She's a regular female out here trying to continue to elevate and reach some goals in life. Many could be familiar with me from being featured on American Gangster Trap Queens. I also have my author debut, A Year and a Day, Memoirs of a Regular Girl, my first book that came out a couple of months ago. And then I also now have added to that a business planning a business planning journal. So I created a business workshop out of that planner. So and there's many more to come, and I'm waiting for those things to come. Like I'm still working and building on those things until there'll be a couple of other things. I was just featured in a film also too that made it to the Roxbury Film Festival, so I'm excited about that. I saw that last weekend. The movie's called Call It Even, and
Mm.
it's by one of the producers here in Boston. So I'm excited about that. That was pretty good. So I have my little acting going on.
Right. I can dig it. I can
Yeah,
dig it. So I'm so
absolutely.
I'm so proud of you and just
Thank
keeping
you.
on and keep doing what you do. So with that being said, now um, some may be familiar with your story on Trap Queens, American Gangster. So let's get into your story. From the beginning and how you was able to overcome all adversity that you went through. So, what is your story from the beginning?
Well, my story from the beginning would be, well, from the very beginning, or the beginning of me getting into situations. I put myself in a few situations. I was a financial aid advisor at a college, and I used and abused my power and my knowledge to start stealing from the school. I started stealing checks from the school, using it for my own personal gain. And why I did that. There's many reasons why I did that. I made the decision to do that. And I could say that, I never want to, first of all, blame anyone. My decisions that I made are my own decisions because no matter what anyone's going through, what you do have is a choice. And you have a choice to make a right decision or you have a choice to make a wrong decision. And I chose to do it in a different way. It felt right at the time, of course, but it was
Hmm.
not the best. It was not the best decision to make. And actually, I was smarter than that. I'm much smarter than what I did. So I didn't have to do that. And I would never suggest that anyone does. But one thing we were talking about just a moment ago is doing the easy things and doing the hard things. It's easy to think that you're getting away with something, that you could just slide something here or there, but it's hard to really do the hard work and face the challenges that you have to face to get to that next, get to the end of it. Um, what happens with a lot of people and what happened to myself, I don't think that I saw uh, a positive outcome into anything. I did have a great job. It looked great. I had two small children at the time. And as the story goes, I was in a relationship, and in my relationship, my partner did abuse, was the substance abuse, right? And
Hmm.
that started to take over common sense. It really did. There was a problem that at the time I thought that, just let's try to fix the problem or go through the problem. And I'm not God, and I couldn't solve that problem. And I'm not bigger than addiction. Addiction is a whole different monster. And it was not on me to try to fix or to do, but I thought that I could. I thought that as a family that, the problem could be fixed and resolved. And, you know, it didn't. And what I started to do is I started stealing money from work, and I started using that to really, in a nutshell, I used that money to escape out of the reality that I was living. I
Hmm.
really did. I used it to pay bills and things like that, of course, but I was also traveling, and I was also doing other things. At the time, I was learning the music business, and I was going to major music events and networking and major industry market, and trying to accomplish something else also, for myself. So, there was just a bunch of things going on at the time. Life was happening, and with life, I wanted to still excel, and I didn't want to be of the product of what it actually looked like for me in reality. And I made a choice to do the worst thing that I could have did for myself and for
I can
my
do
family. Actually, I really did. And I did that more than one time. So uh, there's no excuse for that. That's
it.
just the way that I decided to handle the problem. I went by what I knew and what I had access to do. It was the easy thing to do. The hard thing was to ask for help. The hard thing was to not deal with this situation, remove myself from it, and move on in life in a different path. But I didn't do that. And
Right.
it hurt me for a couple of years to put myself in that position.
Mm.
And
Okay.
I learned that. And
Mm.
right
So,
now, mhm,
with you learning that, and it's quite obvious that your parents and aunties and uncles and first cousins
yeah,
and children had no idea what was going on, and so
no,
to have to face reality and to have to face your parents and they find out what's going on, like there had to be some kind of mental and emotional disbarment, correct?
absolutely. For me, it was humiliating. It was humiliating for me and embarrassing for me because, like I said, I was smarter than the decisions that I made. I am smarter than the decisions that I had made. And I could have done a lot better for myself and for my family by not taking that route. Nobody had a clue because everybody thinks Yana's so smart. She does this good job. She goes to work, she goes to school, she takes care of kids. Yeah, it looks like that. That's a good resume, right? But we've all read plenty of resumes, right? You
Hmm.
can read it. It looks good on paper, but what is the real story behind that? Like
Right.
you never really know. You don't know what a person is going through outside of what you can see. And
Mhm.
most of the time, a person can't see what they're going through because they're in it. So you can't see what it really looks like on the outside because you're in that situation. And it's
Right. Right.
always easy for someone to make judgment or an opinion on, oh, if it were me, I would do this. If I was in this situation, I would do it this way. Well, you really wouldn't know until you're in it. you would want to think that you're strong enough or smart enough not to make those type of decisions. But at the end of the day, unless you're faced with it for real, you don't know. Nobody knows,
Right,
you
right,
know.
right.
So I had I made that decision. I made that decision, and it cost me time away from my family. It cost me time away from myself. It cost me a lot. It cost me pretty much everything. I like to say. I mean, it took a lot of my confidence away. It took, what I thought was my happiness away. So it wasn't worth it at all. Not one
Right.
cent. Not one
So
cent.
let's talk about the Boston area. I
Yeah.
want to say shout out to 104.9, my homegirl
Okay.
Tree Paths, Miss Snake Charmer. Want to say shout
Okay.
out her.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So shout out to her
Mhm.
and the Boston area. So for those who don't know about the Boston area, man, and you name a city in Boston that's been rough and rugged for a long time.
Oh.
Roxbury, Massachusetts,
Oh
just right
yeah.
outside of Boston.
Right.
Um, I want to say this home of New Edition, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah. New Edition is from Roxbury.
Right, right,
You
right, right.
have what was the I hate to say what was the Gangstar was from Roxbury also.
Which is one of my
Um,
favorite. Guru,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
And you had New Kids on the Block were from Dorchester.
right.
Let's see who else. Edo G and the Bulldogs of Roxbury. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's it's a city that people have to tread lightly. Anything can go left.
Oh
Um,
yeah, absolutely. It's
from
definitely like what you would also one of the things that you would say with Roxbury, the movie that LL Cool J played in,
mm,
that movie that was based on a true story that happened in Boston, where the guy
uh,
from New
uh,
York
oh,
came
oh,
down.
are we
That was
talking about in too deep?
yes, and Too Deep. Yeah, I couldn't think of the name just now. And actually, the that project where that took place was where New Edition was from, also. So there's the significance there too when you think of that. A lot
Okay,
of
okay,
connections down there. Yep. But I didn't
okay.
I didn't grow up in Roxbury though. But
No,
Roxbury would
but
be
no,
considered the mecca of Boston though. You would
but
find like your African
I heard
American.
you mention it though.
Oh
I heard
yeah.
you. Yeah, I heard you. Yeah, I heard you mention it. So I was like, let me tap into the Roxbury and give
Yeah.
Roxbury a shout out, and cause
Absolutely.
because a lot of people don't know, man, that it's been some real heavy stuff happening in Boston, and it's been some real mob type street ties in
Oh
Boston.
yeah.
So
Absolutely.
we just love it, for its cultural sports, and
Yeah.
and people who haven't been there, a lot of people come to Boston, every year because they love the summertime there. Um,
Hmm.
they love the food there, because it's so culturalized with different cultures there. So a lot of people do visit, and they love to come there and go on the boats and
Yep.
and and and, and go to yacht parties and stuff like that.
That's right. Yep. That's true.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
true
yeah.
too.
Yeah, see,
It's a
so
good
I
place. It's a
I
good
know a little
place.
something about the city. I know a little something about the city.
Okay,
Yeah,
you was
yeah.
doing your homework.
Yeah. And then I got a lot of partners from there, so
Okay,
I got
good.
a whole lot of partners from there. So your story is you that situation. When you work with financial aid, you kind of put your hands in the cookie jar and whatnot. But from the
That's
money that you made, you
true.
got heavy into the culture of the music industry,
I did.
basically hip hop and R&B. And so I've seen on the trap queens, I seen the Gucci Mans, the Fabulouses, and the Jeezys, and so on and so forth. So um, I'm in that music business heavy myself. So let's talk about how you was able to maneuver in the music business being new, and how did it happen so quick? Because from from what I seen on the Trap Queens, you was out there hand in hand with the celebrities. So
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. But how it was, yeah, it was quickly. I would say quickly, and that's just because what I did is I strategized where I would go. So it was, there was no social media that much, but I'm in Boston. There's a lot of college radio and things like that, and there would be different artists coming through the town all the time. And I worked at the school that was the School of the Arts, and we happened to have one of those radio, was one of the biggest college radio stations in the town anyway. But when I started to learn about the business, I was pretty much going online looking up things that I could get myself into, to like, how do you go? I didn't feel that there was an industry here. So how would I get connected to the industry? So I searched, like, everything is, New York is not far. So I'm sure there's a lot of things to do there. So I started looking into performance rights associations. Like, what I did is I created a skeleton of what the industry is and what components you need to have in order to be in the business of music. So it was like, okay, a performance rights association, that's your ASCAP, your BMI, your CSAC. They do
hmm
events there. They have writers events there, and performances and stuff like that. Then it's like, okay, Billboard. Billboard has workshops like touring workshops. You go there, you meet people, you network there. They have the Billboard Music Awards. You and different events that they have, like songwriting stuff. They have all these things going on in New York, and they have a calendar. And I would look at the calendar and like, okay, I could go here on this day, and I just go there and network. And then it would say who the people were, and I'll start researching the people and what labels they work for, and or what artists they're connected with, and really just strategizing where I would go. And each event that I would go to, I networked there. I met people there that are still friends of mine till this day. And then they would lead me to like an exclusive event that you won't find online. So then I'll be getting into all these different exclusive stuff. So that's how it started for me.
hmm
Everything is networking. Everything is. You meet people, you are on the line, you're on the same path, you build relationships with people. And that's pretty much what I did. And I did that. I, I did it really well. It's difficult at being a female, though, of course. You're going to run into, it's a male
yeah,
dominated business. So as a
yeah,
female, I want to say that it was difficult, but it wasn't difficult, just in the sense of, in order to be taken seriously, you don't do any of the, unprofessional things. Like, make sure that everything's professional with being, just who you are. So I just
hmm
started doing that, and I just knew that that was like a number one rule. I wouldn't do anything that wasn't, professional. I don't care what, I wouldn't compromise that at all, because I want to have a solid name in this business, and I want to be official, and I wouldn't be able to do that by doing anything that would be unofficial. So I just made
that's
sure that that was my number one goal, that I wouldn't do that. And I met people, all, guys are always going to try, but I never did anything like that. I stood my ground, and I continued to build those relationships, and I continued to build respect for having, my own goals and the road, the map that I was going to follow. And I made it work, and I would get from one place to the next place, and to that place to the next place. And I just continued to navigate and move through it. And then I started to think, well, you know what? I'm going to these different events. I'm learning about all of the different components of the business, but I wish that there was something like this at home, so that people in my area could also be able to network and have access to these same things. So I was like, okay, so now I'm going to do my own music conference at home. And I did that by, now when I go out and I'm networking, it's not just meeting people and, learning the business. It's more so if I'm doing a music conference, how could we get you there, be on a panel to discuss this or discuss that? And we just
hmm.
continue to do that. Then I was given an opportunity to, when certain labels would come up, for them to contact me. I would be like the liaison. So they would come up to go do radio with an artist, and then I would bring them like in the neighborhoods and do some in stores and stuff like that. So, networking brought me a lot of opportunities in those
Okay,
relationships that I
okay,
built.
okay. I can dig it. I
That's
can
how that
dig it.
happened.
So upon you learning the business and as far as you now in the business,
Hmm.
um, you overcame every challenge, you took on every obstacle, and you took it head on, face front. And so,
Absolutely.
and with you now knowing the business, knowing what you can do, and we're over into the digital era.
Uh-huh.
So, what is your place in the business right now? What do you want to still do in the music business?
Well, really, I'm not so heavy into it to where I want to be in it. I don't have like I'm not managing an artist right now. I'm not doing that. But what I do is consult and help people to still learn the business and connect the dots for them. So, I mean, at the end of the day, we have added on to the music business by the digital era, right? There's
Hmm.
things added on, but the business is still the business. And it's
Hmm.
just about how you navigate the business and connect those dots. You still need to make sure that your stuff is copyrighted. You still, all these things that make up the business of being in music, you still need to do. You just because there's the TikTok, you better make sure that you're having your stuff copywritten before you put it out there publicly. If you're a producer, you want to make sure that if you want to be the business as an artist, you have your publishing, you have your performance rights association, you make sure that you're getting your stuff copywritten, make sure that you're owning your stuff before you put it out there. People are still making the same mistakes, even though we've had the New Edition movie and all these movies about different artists who signed contracts or didn't sign contracts, didn't know, you have to know the business of it. And if you don't know the business of it, you get someone that you trust that does know the business of it to help you navigate that so that you can be an artist or you can be a producer or whatever it is that you want to do. You still have to have the business sense of it because once it takes off, it can definitely take off. You might be someone sitting around thinking that you might have 5 singles that you're sitting on and you put one out. You think it's going to be maybe nothing and it could blow up. It could blow up overnight. We see it on SoundCloud every day. We see it right now on TikTok every day. We're seeing this happen. So the best thing to do is to make sure you're protecting yourself before, because you just never know what's going to take off for you. And then that's not just it. Like now you have to understand that it's not just about having an album out or getting signed. Like there's a lot of different deals out there. There's a lot of different ways that you could actually be a successful artist. So you definitely have to have the right people with you. You can't.
So,
It's nothing you can do
shout,
by yourself.
I'm gonna say shout out to Irv Gotti. Irv Gotti
Oh
just, he sold 50% of the Masters of Murder Inc. and
yeah.
acquired a $300 million deal. And trust and believe, he's been trying to get into this film industry for the
Oh
last 20
yeah.
years, and he about to hit the ground running.
Oh
Facts.
yeah. Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
from my sources tell me that he's already contacted Michael B. Jordan for,
Oh,
yeah,
I bet.
to be one of the main characters in the movie called The Ink. You know what I mean?
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
That's gonna
yeah.
be nice.
So, yeah,
No,
so
you definitely have to do multiple things. That's what
hmm
they mean by that. You can't just think you're gonna go in and just be, rapping or singing or whatever and leave it at that. Like you're gonna have to, you're gonna want to be able to spread out. You
hmm
got to get into the film. What comes into it's the entertainment business.
hmm
It's the entertainment business. So you got to get out there and network, and you'll start figuring things out a lot. You will.
right, yeah,
You'll start
right.
learning a lot. And then you may now take another avenue because, like, look, you only thought this big, but it's this big, you
hmm
know? And that's the fun in it. That's the fun in it.
It's funny
So
you say that because when I was in music, first I was in the street team promotion, club promotions. My very
okay.
first event was hanging up the posters, going to the radio station, flyers in the club, and that was for the What Noriega tour,
Mm-hmm.
way back in the
Okay.
day. And then I got into managing any artist, teaching the business, and now
Mm-hmm.
I'm into. I work for a PR team. I blog a lot, and
Okay.
also just do a lot of consultations and stuff like that. So,
Mm-hmm.
it's so many avenues in the music business. But
Right.
what intrigued me the most about you, um, I did find you on social media, but I said to myself, hmm, you had some business mixers, some industry mixers. You then, once I found out a little bit more about you, I found out that was intriguing to me. But what really blew me away, and I have a big heart for people having the opportunity to get a second chance,
Oh yeah.
and and so I have written several letters for several felons,
Mhm.
several of them. And so when you said that you have a program that's designed to rehabilitate and redevelop the business mind of a person
Mhm.
that's been a felony, so
Mhm.
they can realize that this is not where it ends at.
Oh
This
yeah.
is a new beginning for you. And so
Mhm.
we're gonna talk about that here in a little bit, but you are an author as well, correct?
Yes, I'm a new author.
Okay, so let's really talk about the orchestration of you being an author, and let's talk about how you was brainstorming before you came an author, and how you just used to write and write and write and didn't put it in out for the world to read it yet. And so let's talk about what motivates you to be a writer, and what motivated you to really put it out there for the public eye to read and see, and for you can be connected with a target market audience.
Well, thanks for asking that because I always consider myself to be a writer. Like I used to write poems and things like that all through school. So since I could write, I always was that person to do that. And I loved reading books. So, you know, that's who I was as a kid and, growing up into my adult age. So I really liked that. But again, after I became, a little older, preteen and stuff like that, I wasn't focused on that kind of stuff. I kind of just let it go to the wayside. So I would have bunches of notebooks. I have tons of notebooks with my writings all over the place about just different things, or I would journal a lot. But when I started getting older, boys, stuff like that, that stuff didn't seem. I didn't know anyone else who was doing it. It was like
Right, 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 right,
that was
right.
me, my thing. Um, what motivated me to actually put a book out publicly, to write something publicly, was being on the show, being on American Gangster. I wanted to have something that was more so Ayana Bean and not just what Ayana Bean did. You know, I wanted people to know who I am, my beginnings, what you wouldn't have gotten out of the episode, right? So
Okay.
that was the motivation behind doing that. So it was more so a follow up to that, more of insight to it. But it also was a release and a healing of things that I really had to.
So
I'm a
back
person
up.
who.
Time out, Yana. Say this again for me, please, because I want
Uh-huh.
you to say this for the people that's sitting on the back of the church pew. Um,
Okay.
so you said a key word, healing.
Yeah.
What does that word mean to you, with all the adversity and all the obstacles and all the challenges that you face? What does that word healing mean to you?
It means a release. It means a release. It means a letting go of. It means a facing it, facing those challenges, facing everything. Like this is what it's like. Look, this is what it is, and I'm not gonna beat myself up about these things anymore. I'm not gonna let anyone be able to use that as a weapon against me. Um,
Okay.
I'm gonna say it to you myself. I'm releasing this. I'm getting this off of that tight feeling, like the fist, like this. This is it. Boom.
Right, right, right,
It's
right.
released. Like it's gone. And not to say that I'm totally healed from anything. I'm human. I'm a human being. I'm not totally healed from everything, but it is a very big start to releasing yourself and freeing yourself and healing yourself from whatever holds you back from truly excelling and moving forward in your life. Um, there's a lot of things that for me growing up into my adulthood and that I faced, even being on the, being on the episode was like, wow, I forgot all about that. Not that I forgot, but there are things that I just swept under the rug and keep there
You
because
kind of block it out your mind.
I absolutely do that. I'm the queen of doing that. And I learned to do that at a very early age. If something's traumatic, like hot stove, I just ball it up, hide it, and keep moving forward. I don't deal with it. I don't, I just rather forget it. And you do that for so long, and then you become this adult, and it's like, wow, I've never really faced or acknowledged these things because I hid them because they were too painful to touch. And that's how I dealt with issues.
Okay,
And that,
okay. So,
mhm.
dealing with those issues, I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
Now, a person has to understand that you have to release mentally,
Oh yeah.
you have to release emotionally,
Hmm.
and you have to be awakening spiritually,
Yep.
and you have to digest. Uh, when I say digest fruits and vegetables, I don't mean literally fruits and vegetables. I mean
Right.
digest something in your diaphragm that makes you go on the physical aspect, just
Hmm.
that doesn't affect you, like, because if it affects you mentally, emotionally, it can make you sick physically.
Oh yeah.
You,
Absolutely.
and so
Absolutely.
with that being said, and you also talked about healing. You said you can
Hmm.
release it. So when you release it, that's a part of your deliverance. And so that brings up the question, what did you ask God for? And what are your deepest conversations that you had with God when you was going through?
Peace. That was my asking for peace
Okay.
because everything has been drama, everything has been trauma and chaos,
Mm-hmm.
pain. You know, if I have peace, I can go through these things, right?
Mm-hmm.
I can relive these things. Um, that's the only thing that I asked. And I'll tell you, I remember that being the only thing that I could think of asking for. I didn't ask to be forgiven or any of those things. I just wanted to have peace in all of the things. Just let me have peace in them. That means
Okay.
a healing from them.
Mm-hmm.
I want to feel okay. I want to be able to say, this is a painful thing, but I don't want to feel um, emotional about it. I don't want it to make me feel depressed. I don't want it to bring me down. I just want to acknowledge it. This is make it a part. This is a part of my life. And I shouldn't be angry when I relive something. I want to have peace with it because I already went through that and it's gone and done.
Right, right, right.
I want to have a calm about it. I don't want it to be something that makes me feel the whole thing all over again, like it's just happening right now. I want to be okay with knowing I went through that and I made it from that. That's no longer happening, and it's okay because if there's another person out there who's going through the same thing, and I know the feeling of the experience that that person's having, and I want them to see what happens when you actually get past it
So let
and
me
have
ask you a
some
question.
peace. Hmm.
With all the situations you went through,
Hmm.
uh, we can say you lost yourself, correct?
Oh yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
okay, okay. So my question for you, how did you do it? How long did it take for you to fall back in love with yourself again?
Mm. Well, if I'm going to be an honest person, I would tell you that I don't think that I really have even accomplished that yet.
Okay, okay.
For me, I don't feel that I've really, 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 truly 100% have accomplished. I'm close there. I'm really close.
Mm-hmm.
I do not. I don't see that I really have yet. I do have moments though when I see like, wow, I did that. Wow, that was great. this is good. You're doing pretty good. Sometimes you have to pat yourself on the back. You have to acknowledge the good that you're
So
doing. You have to acknowledge and see the change.
so let me reiterate a little bit when I say fall in
Hmm.
love with yourself again.
Uh-huh.
I mean knowing who you are,
Uh-huh.
knowing your abilities,
Yeah.
knowing your capabilities,
Hmm.
um, knowing that no matter what people say, if God forgave you, why should I worry about who doesn't?
Oh
Um,
yeah. Yes. Hmm.
and knowing that you always got to hold yourself in high regard to your worth and your value.
Hmm.
And as Jay Prince from Rap A Lot Records said, the CEO, he said, we wake up with two things: a chance and a
Yeah.
choice.
Absolutely.
A chance and a choice. And so the chance is that God gave you again. He woke you up this morning. You opened your eyes, and
Absolutely.
the choice is you have another day to get it right. So what are you going to do with it?
Absolutely. Hmm. In that aspect, yes, I would say yes. I do. Um, I do. But
Okay.
I do a lot of downplaying myself, and I do
We,
that
we,
because
we're
I
gonna have to
think
stop that.
yeah, me too.
We're gonna have to stop
Absolutely,
that. Yeah, we gotta stop that because,
absolutely.
like, okay, you know, Moses killed the man,
Yeah,
but he also saved a lot of souls. You
absolutely,
know, you know what I mean.
absolutely. You're right.
So
You're right.
so I feel like when people make mistakes, they let the
Hmm.
weight so heavy on their shoulders throughout their life, and I
Hmm.
feel like that's instant betrayal to themselves. How you going to have betrayal to your growth? So if
Hmm.
you always let it smack you in the face, then it's like that you betraying the second chance God gave you. And so if you don't want to grow, how is God going to even push you to grow?
This is true because in order for you to be able to receive, you have to have totally understand what you have going on right now. Just the same as if you want to receive more, then you have to dump some out. You have to pour out. So that's absolutely true. But like I said, I'm human, and I'm always
You
going
are.
to be 100% honest about it. And especially as being a lot of women out here, that's what we do. You can. It's one thing to say, yeah, I'm this and I'm that and I'm doing this and I'm so confident and all those things. But I will tell you that I am still getting back to that space because I did strip that away from myself. And so
Mhm.
every now and then I do fall into that. I haven't completely come out of that yet. But it's again, it's a work in progress every day. And that's what we do. We keep on chipping away at it. We keep working at it. Keep going
Right.
hard at it, and I keep on sticking to the plan that I have and the goal that I have. Keep being out here doing the good work, and eventually I'll be able to come back to you and say, "Yeah, I know, I am that. Yes." And there's no
Right.
question about it. And
That's right.
and that's a goal for me too. That's one of my goals is to be able to do that and to make sure that I'm 100% on me that way.
Right. Right. And then
Yeah.
see the thing about it is like for you to face it head on and overcome
Hmm.
adversity, the challenge and the obstacles, and
Yeah.
you to keep moving and have a blessed smile on your face that just says a lot. It's a lot people can see from the outside looking in that you can't see from
Yeah.
the inside looking in.
Absolutely. Just
Hmm.
absolutely, and that's also great. And I'm glad
Right.
when people can see, it's a good thing when people can see that. Like I said, when you're in a situation, when you're in it, you can't
Mhm.
see it the way you would if you were outside of it. And that also goes for when you're doing good things. You
Right.
may think it's just, I'm just doing this, because you're
Right.
busy doing it and you're busy trying to make it, trying to, reach these goals. You're trying to do the best that you can. But then someone on the outside sees it like, you know what? You're doing some hard work. I'm watching you grinding. I get those comments a lot, and it always helps me to reset to move more forward.
Mhm. It's
You
like
know,
John
so
Legend said,
I appreciate
we
that.
we just ordinary people,
Absolutely.
you know.
Absolutely. And
So,
we're actually extraordinary people. Just
right.
to add that on, we truly are. And what we do is we hold ourselves back when we, again, like I said, downplaying ourselves, having fear of failing,
hmm
fear of not having the knowledge of things. These are
right,
things that hold us back from moving forward, or hold us back from moving forward in a confident manner to where, yeah, I got this. Like, I know that I got this. It's hard for a lot of people to do that. And
right.
it takes a lot to move away from that for some people. You have to think that there's people that face mental issues, they face depression, there's healing that they haven't done and haven't gone through, and some people go through their whole lives just carrying trauma with them and never getting the correct help that they need for their mental state. So
That's right.
I do represent a part of that just as well, because again, like I said, it's not a perfect thing, it's not a perfect world, but I do still carry a lot of things, and as
hmm
I chip away at trying to heal from them, it does. It's hard to do a lot of times.
Right.
It's hard to do, but you keep on pushing and you keep on going forward and you keep on trying to do it.
Yeah.
That's the difference. And I am appreciative and I'm happy that I am able to still get up and go, because I know a lot of people didn't make it to be able to do that.
That's right.
You know.
That's right. And that is a truly blessing. So, and
Yeah.
with you making up and you having that get up and go spirit in
Oh
you,
yeah.
and you just keep driving forward. So let's
Yeah.
talk about the rehabilitation process that you wanted to build for felons coming out, and you want to show them a different way, and you just
Yeah.
wanted to help them overcome when they feel like everybody in society is against them because they've been behind that wall. And so what made you what how was you so driven to do this, and
hmm
how did you defy all the odds when people say you couldn't do it?
Listen, I went through the whole process.
hmm
I went through the
hmm
process. I know what it's like.
hmm
So, um, and especially as a woman, and I say that because there's a difference between men being in prison and women being in prison. It's a whole
hmm
different lifestyle. There's access to things that women don't have. There's, that you're not important, especially when you're a woman in prison. You're not. You don't even have the same things on your commissary list that men do. Um, the visiting room isn't going to be filled with visitors for you, but a man will have a
well
visitor
well
every day of
can
the
I say
week.
this, because
Yeah,
society don't expect women to go to prison.
and that's
I,
the and that's
I,
another thing. That's
I
another thing,
mean,
and
women
I
are
and I do
nurturers.
acknowledge that. Yeah, I acknowledge that.
Yeah, so it's like
Mhm.
when you like if you when you was young, right?
Mhm.
If one hour if my homeboy told me this or your homegirl told you this when we was 13, 14 years old,
Right.
and they said, well, I'd be like, man, how your mom doing? Well, man, she just got locked up for a while. She gonna be gone for about like 9 years. And you gonna look at
Mhm.
your homeboy like, what?
Right.
She what? Nah,
Mhm.
bro. You playing. Be like, nah,
Yeah.
bro. She got caught up with the wrong guy, and and
It
he was selling
happens.
drugs then, and be like, yeah, and but just to see, just to see, and the child may be confident, be like, yo, man, she my mom, I love her. I'm a,
Right.
I'm gonna just rock with her through. I'm gonna see her through. But from another standpoint of view,
Mhm.
when it comes to family members and friends and stuff, and society as a
Mhm.
whole, be like, you are a mother of the earth. You bring
Right.
life into the world. There's no way
Right.
you should be behind there. And so that's a lot for a person that's going
Yeah.
through. You know what I mean? Even when they come
Absolutely.
home, even when they come home, there's still a lot for you. And
It
so
is.
like you overcame all that, and now you're
Mhm.
helping felons. So what
That's
is your
right.
program like when you're helping felons? Like what is the logistics of a felon in entering your program?
So it's more so of um, I want to say it's a family. It's a family style thing.
Okay.
It's a place that you belong, right? Because
Okay.
society doesn't include you in being a part of them, really. We are told to do what? To you do the crime, you do the time, and then you move on, right? But then you come home from prison, you have to get a job, you're on probation, your probation officer is on your back, you got to be working, you have to have a stable place to live, and all these things. Well, every job tells you that they can't hire you because you're a felon. So are we moving? Are we able to move on, or are we not move on? Like it's like you're like this. What do I do? Okay, well I can do this, or I can't do that, or I can move forward, but I really can't. How am I supposed to sustain um, housing if I can't get a job that pays me enough to pay for a roof over my head? Where are these things going to come from? If I'm forever going to be labeled this, if there's
Mm-hmm.
forever going to be Corey checks, where can
Mm-hmm.
I go? What is really out here for me? You just always people always want to say, oh, you can go work at McDonald's, you can go work, or you can go work here or there. Listen, I first came home, I tried to get a second job at Instacart, and I was denied because I was a felon. And that's using my own car delivering somebody's groceries. Does that make sense? It doesn't
No.
make sense. It
No.
doesn't make sense at all, right? So this is what happens. You become a third world citizen when you come
Wow.
home. You know,
Third world citizen. Wow.
that's basically that's what it's like. If there's no groups or organizations that, and I don't mean like people just doing organizations and say, yeah, we help felons get jobs, whatever. It doesn't be anything really that will help you create a life for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. And then and if it is something, it may be something that's like humiliating or, degrading for you to do, especially if you're like if you're used to certain things, if you've never done, maybe some people never had jobs before.
Yeah.
I know a couple of people on track queens that would tell me like I didn't know what I was going to do when I got out because I had never had a job before. And for me it's like this. Well, you owned a business, you ran an organization, you had skills that you could do a lot of different jobs.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
That's how
Yeah.
I would think. But
Right,
again,
right,
there's
right.
people that don't think that way. Like if you were doing whatever you were doing, there's a skill and there's a position for those skills that you have. It's
Right.
about getting in the door. You can sit down, and I've sat down at a lot of interviews, and I'll get the job on the spot. And then it's the contingent upon your background check. You know, if someone's willing to hire you right now when you're in front of their face, they love your character, they see that, you could be a perfect fit for this position. And then they do a background check and now you no longer qualify. There's a disconnect in there. And that's another one of the biggest things. The biggest things is to be able to change some laws that um, prevent you from being punished for so long. In
Yeah, definitely.
Massachusetts, yeah, it's 7 years. So 7 years of a background check. Let's think about what happens in 7 years of
A
somebody's
lot.
life. A
A lot.
lot. So how about this? You go to prison, you're in there for 5 years. You come home, you're on probation for 3 years. And then there's a background check that's going back 7 years from your date of finishing probation. So now how many years is that? Let's calculate that. That's I went in for 5, I'm on probation for 3, that's 8 years. Now, at the end of the 8 years, 7 years of a background check. So you're telling me that it's going to take 15 years for you to be able to get a job that may pay more than the other ones that you could get that not running background checks, right? You really think it takes that long for someone to be able to do that? So what do you think is going to happen now? Now, we
Yeah.
talked about this earlier. You said there's an easy way of doing things and there's a hard way of doing things. You've
Right.
been gone to prison for 5 years, you're on probation for 3 years, background checks are running for 7.
Mm.
What do you think a person's going to do?
Yeah.
You know? So
And I
you,
just say thank God for the trucking industry because I
right?
listen. Listen, I got a lot of homeboys, man. Like they were scratching their head, be like, man, what? I was like, bro, look, this is what you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
Need to go to your local vocation rehabilitation
Uh-huh.
organization, and
Mm-hmm.
you need to tell them that you're failing, you having
Mm-hmm.
a hard time finding a job, and you want to be a professional truck driver. He said, so
Right.
what? I said, they're gonna pay for you to go to school, man. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
there's a lot of organizations that will pay you to they'll pay for the program and it's free for you. There's a lot of different programs that will, and there's a lot of companies now that are felon friendly. But again, what I say to you is it has to start on the ground, which is the laws first.
Mm-hmm.
There's laws that, and it's not just for the felon. It's also companies need to be held accountable for how they hire and the use of their background check.
Mm-hmm.
The person that's interviewing you has no clue what to do. They just know that it says that you have a positive background check. They don't know anything else. They're just sitting there willing to hire you. And remember, this is another regular person that's just working a job.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this person determines whether or not you're going to be successful. Like there's a lot to be to look at
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, that makes no sense. That makes no sense to me. So it makes no
Right.
sense at all. But I do appreciate what you're doing and how you're
Yeah.
doing it. And for those that want to know more about your program, where can they look the program up at?
So what they can do for right now, because I haven't put out like the site and everything's up and running, I'm actually now getting it to where it needs to be. So in fact, what they can do is you can email me. My email address is info@MsYanaBean.com. So that's info@MsYanaBean.com.
Okay.
And that's the best way for you to be able to get in touch with me before you start seeing everything, because you're going to start seeing it a lot more now. You're going to start seeing me doing things in the name of my nonprofit organization, which is a Year and a Day Foundation, same name as my book. So
So
you'll
okay,
start seeing a
okay.
lot more
So
of that.
this what I want to know.
Hmm.
When is the Yana Bean story coming out?
Okay, so so you'll be seeing that, I say, within the next year, because we're gonna start doing casting calls at the end of this year.
So you need to make
So
sure you let me know
I
when
absolutely will.
yeah, you definitely need to let me know.
I will definitely
I
let you
would
know.
definitely love to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Just whatever you need me to do, I definitely love to be a part of it, and
Yes.
um, I definitely love to, because I do have, this is what I do have for you. I have a young man,
Uh-huh.
man, his father do a lot of business together. We do a sports podcast together,
Okay.
and among some other things, in the sports media world. And
Hmm.
his son called me. He said, "Mr. J," I said, "What's up, man?" He said, I got over 50 scripts written. I just need somebody to work.
Really?
And so I said, I was like, you know what? I got you. Like
Okay.
I'm gonna tell him that we gonna definitely get in contact with you and whatnot, and cause I already know, and he has a rap duo by the name of Dove Three, and
Okay.
and him and his partners, they attend Fort Valley State University in Fort Valley, Georgia, and
Okay.
they are pretty dope. They have over 200,000 streams on Spotify. So they're
Nice.
pretty dope. Yeah, they're pretty dope.
Nice.
So yeah. So man, you definitely gonna do some business together. So, but
Absolutely, because I was just saying to someone actually just asked me like, "Do you have a script writer?" I'm like, you know what? I'm This is actually a market that I want to start doing a lot in, and I'm like, I need to meet more screenwriters,
I got you
a
though. I
lot more
got you.
people. Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
right.
yeah. Me
And
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 Tamika were
so
just
for
talking about that.
right. And so for those who want to get in contact with you through your social media, want to see
Oh
what you
yeah.
got going on, and they might even want to take a trip to Boston and come
Hey,
on your events. You know what I mean?
let's do it. Let's do it. I love that. Um, I'm big on social media. I'm always on it. Is why I say I'm big on social media. That's my
Okay.
whole. I feel like those are my commercials.
Hmm.
That's what I use for everything. So Instagram is at Miss.Yana Bean. So that's MS.YANABEAN. I probably use Instagram all day and all night, anyways, right? So I put
Okay.
everything on there. My Twitter is the same thing. Everything across the board is
Okay.
MsYanaB.com. My Twitter is the same thing. And I have two Facebooks, but I really am active on the Boston Gorge one. But I
Okay.
have also my business Facebook is miss.yanabean.com, which I put all the same stuff on all the
Okay. Okay.
platforms.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool. Cool. Cool.
yeah,
So you heard the first chatterbox with yours truly, King Jacob, none other than Miss Yana Bean.
yeah.
You know, I'm just amazed, and I'm just happy, you know, that God allowed you to
Yeah,
follow His direction, so you can change your life around, and now
absolutely.
that you are inspiring to help others because you are inspired yourself, and
Yes,
so that says a lot. So I just want to thank you for chopping up with me, and you know, I'll be in touch, and you keep in touch, and you know,
yes,
and we'll just keep rocking.
yes. Let's do that. Let's do that because I definitely need some scripts.
Okay, okay, not a problem.
Definitely, definitely. But we'll definitely get together. I'll come and do some follow ups, whatever you need me to do. And when that casting is ready on those days, I'll make sure that you're in tune and we can put something out there, put something together for it too.
Okay,
Yeah.
not a problem. You take care, be
Okay.
blessed, and stay encouraged.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
Salute
Appreciate
to
it.
you. All right.
Salute to you too, King. Thank you.
All right. Okay then. Peace and blessings.
Thank you.